it was overpowered by a lot. and since it was overpowered by a lot, it just hauled ass. And then, you know, when you having the experience on a rigid inflatable, you kind of see how the tubes kind of stabilize a little bit, right? The water, and it's just a little, it's different. It's almost like a different feel. I always say a rib is like a boat with a life vest on.
Okay. Yeah. That's a good analogy. I like that.
So think about it. Like, it's going to float even if you deflate it. Yeah. I've done videos on YouTube deflating them in the middle of the ocean and pretend I'm going to die. Because what happens is people think a rigid inflatable, when you pop the tubes,
if you puncture it with something,
you remove the tubes, it's gonna fail. And that's not the case, because it's still a rigid bottom. It's going to float like a regular boat. So I've had some pretty interesting run-ins when it comes to boats, as some of you guys may know. The Sunk Verado series.
Oh, yeah.
That was
probably the worst. I would probably throw that into the worst category of, like, losing an engine off the back of the boat. That's probably, I would say, the worst.
Well, yeah, and that wasn't even my boat, right? That was that was me doing a sea trial on a boat for our manufacturer that we said, hey, we're going from Palm Beach Boat Show. We're going to take a drive to Fort Lauderdale, where their facility was. So he said, hey, Alfred, let's hop on the boat. And it's funny,
camera and all.
Funny thing is, I see the owner of the company brings his son, and immediately I'm like, oh shoot, there goes. We're not gonna go hard. And I knew it was gonna be a rough day because it was blowing like 25, right?
Wow.
But that particular boat had a suspended console, which was it's a shockwave system that it has like Fox shocks. So the actual console is literally coming up and down.
Really?
Incredible stuff.
Yeah, that is interesting.
So you don't feel it on your body, right? So, but then when you're on a lot of boats, like I've been when I've done my sea trials, you know when you're pounding hard, your body's going to feel it, right? If you don't have the right stuff. Well, long story short, we lost an engine hauling ass. It completely came off. On my end, when I was a little kid, one of my first experiences on a boat, my dad had an inboard older boat. I mean, I wouldn't know what it was.
Yeah.
He turned it on, and
then you guys went.
I was just sitting on the lid, and that shit just blew up.
Really?
And we were in what do they call it now? In Key Largo, was it Calusa?
Calusa Cove?
Yes. So we were there. A long story short, I go flying as like a 7-8-year-old from the explosion of the exhaust, because it didn't get vented out, right?
Yeah, the blower wasn't working or whatever.
The blower didn't, right? You know?
And people think that's not a big deal. It's like, that blower's a really big deal.
Listen, and so that's why I always tell people, you know, unless you have these experiences on the water, you're not going to know how to react to them. And you're going to learn all the F-ups you have on the water, which is what makes you say, I'm not doing this again. I'm not doing that. And you learn from the people you're around, too. So I think the uncomfortable scenarios for me have always been like if I've ever hit bottom, right? Or you know, you get into an area where you're like, oh shit, this wasn't supposed to be here. Or I didn't plan on this being here. And then you know, you're like, oh, you're in a dicey
next thing you know, you're scraping the bottom. Yeah.
Or you're like, hey, what do? Do you lay off? You know, if you lay off, you're gonna
you're sink down even worse.
You're done.
Yeah.
But if you're still skimming the water, you might get through wherever you're at, whatnot. You know, depending on where you're at. So that's why I always tell people, you know, analyze where you're going first, so that you don't have any issues. Because sometimes you think you know the area, and then there's things that'll be there. You're like, oh shoot, this is.
The charts aren't 100% accurate when you're looking at the.
Well, listen. You see, especially at night, like when I see stuff at night, and I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna be out at night, and I'm leaving during the day. If I see any danger or any areas that I think are a problem with me coming back, I mark it on the GPS.
Oh yeah, that's
all the time.
That's smart.
If I see something, hey, I know that's not supposed to be here, I'll literally put D, like to remind myself there's danger here. So when I'm coming back, this is where I saw something that wasn't supposed to be there for
whatever
reason.
Whatever reason.
It
blew in from a storm, whatever.
After storms, that's like the most dangerous time to be out on the water, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't know what's really going to be there or what's been moved from.
What's been moved in. Like,
bottom.
Here's a giant tree trunk out there that,
I was on Instagram the other day. I saw some guy recording a house in the middle of the ocean. I was like, that's a first.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that.
So yeah, for me, those are moments, and I've had scenarios where I've had people on my boat that I've been captaining the boat. Boat shuts off for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Some dude jumps off of the boat to go into the bathroom. I can't get the boat started.
Oh, no.
Wind's taking him one way. Current's taking him the same way.
Oh.
I'm like,
this is a problem.
It's freaking Father's Day.
Oh, no. Was it night?
It was during the day.
Okay. At least you can still see him for a little while.
And I've told this story on my channel, and I think I'll do a quick rundown here because I think it's so valuable. One time I was at the Christ in the Keys.
In Key Largo.
Key Largo.
Yeah. Yep.
Diving the Christ. And I had my little girl, my youngest, because I have 2 daughters, but my youngest, I was holding her, and she was about maybe 4. And we were with my neighbor and all that stuff. And it was kind of rough, but you're young at the time. You're like, I could do this.
Yeah.
So I didn't have fins. I'm holding her up. I got my mask on, my snorkel. Letting her have the moment to see it from up top.
Yeah.
She wants to see it.
Oh, yeah. At 4 years, she's still big enough to be like, oh, I want to, let me see.
She had her little life vest on.
Yep.
But the rollers were coming up, and they were coming up over her. So I was trying to hold her up.
Yep.
All of a sudden, I'm getting gassed up, and I can't get to the boat. So I tell my neighbor, I was like, hey, Ozzy, I need you to help me get to the boat real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of current. The current was pushing us away from the boat. Well, long story short, he had fins, I didn't, and he gave me one of his fins. Okay,
I've never tried to swim with one fin.
Well, here's the thing. That's why I'm telling you this, right? So he had one fin on his left foot, and I had one on my right foot. He told me to put it on my right foot.
Yeah.
Right? So all of a sudden, he goes, "We're gonna just swim in sync."
Okay.
So we were like that, and we were in sync, swimming with the baby to the boat, dropped off the baby, and then I realized, I was like, "Oh man."
That's really smart.
That's a very, very useful technique.
Yeah.
God forbid I'm in a scenario.
Yeah. Didn't even think about that. That was completely.
So.
Never thought about that.
Father's Day, 1 year. Got a bunch of people on my boat. We're leaving Monty's in the Grove, which anybody that knows the South Florida area will know where Monty's is in Coconut Grove. I was on a 18-foot rigid inflatable on that day. Family. This guy, his daughter, his wife, and my kids. This guy jumps off the boat. I mean, I'm running it back. I think I was taking the boat a little harder than I should, and it was kind of heavy for what it was, and the boat just shut off on me. I was like, oh shoot, what's going on here? So once it shuts off, he's drinking. He's like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom. Hold on a second. He jumps in the thing. I'm like, oh man, this is this is not good, right?
Yeah, tie a rope to you, like.
Well, yeah. It's like, what are you doing? So I'm like, hey, what are you doing? So immediately I'm like, oh shoot, this guy's an idiot. I'm trying to start the boat.
Yep.
It's not starting. This guy's like, yo, come get me. And I'm thinking, what a fool, dude. I go, this guy's not gonna put me on a mission. Yeah. So in my mind, I'm already on like, this guy doesn't realize the danger that he's in.
Yeah, 30 minutes and you're gone. Like, you're going to be so far away. The boat, you're going to separate to where.
Well, so all of a sudden, this current is ripping. And I'm telling you this one, when current is ripping, and the current was going one way, and the boat was going.
Take you miles.
All of a sudden, I'm like, oh, shoot. Then my daughter, that's 16 or 17 at the time, decides to do the same thing. Because she saw
he was in trouble.
No, she didn't see that. She saw the opportunity to go to the bathroom.
Oh,
right? Hey, jump in the water. Hey, here it is. So all of a sudden, now I have my daughter in the water, him, and then he's already like, hey, come get me. I'm going to drown here. And I'm like, oh boy. So I see instantly panic on the boat. Panic. So I tell everybody to move. I go ahead and I get the anchor and I throw the anchor, because first thing I have to do is think about me, right? Because I'm the captain of the boat, and if I can't put myself in a good spot, I'm affecting myself, and everybody else is going to.
Well, it's like what they tell you on the airplane. You put your mask on first before you help anybody else.
Yeah. Because if I'm stuck like Chuck, then everybody's going to be in a bad spot.
Yep.
So I told my wife, give me my fins, give me my snorkel. Because of that moment that I had
with the other guy,
neighbor, I always kept a pair of fins on my boat. Because realistically, in a survival scenario, if you had to swim from a far distance, if you sunk yourself, it's much easier to do it with fins and a snorkel. You can go
10 times
really far.
Yeah.
So in most of the time,
before you wear out,
when I would go on my boat, because of who I am, I always like to do things by myself, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's filming me. You know, I do whatever I want. It's my freedom. It's like my motorcycle. That's why people don't see a lot of the content that I put when I'm by myself on my boat. So long story short, I anchor. I throw the anchor. I didn't even know if it stuck or not. I just threw it.
Yep.
Because I know time was.
It's just it's of the essence.
And he's getting far.
Yeah.
And he's already gasping. And my daughter, she was like, hey, well, come get me.
So now you got to double rescue now.
So I get my fins. I didn't have a snorkel. They couldn't find the snorkel, and I wasn't going to wait for the snorkel.
Yeah.
But I had the fins. So I jump into the water. I tell them to give me 3 life vests. So I go into the water, and I put my head down, and I swim to my daughter, who's closest to me, and I give her a life vest, and I said, baby, whatever you want, don't worry about it. Just chill here. Just rest on this. Don't worry about it. If you float far away, nothing's going to happen. I'm going to pick you up once I start the boat. Just don't worry. Don't gas yourself. That's my thing. Okay, one stabilized. This other guy is already gassing. And I see him like that, and it's kind of rough.
And he's drunk, so he's like...
And he's already drunk. Hey, come get me. I'm going to die here. And all I hear in the back of my ear is, my dad's gonna die.
Oh no.
Oh, so I'm hearing this and panic and
all
scream.
Kinds of
just
chaos.
Chaos on the boat, you know? And nobody, like, if something happens that I can't get back onto that boat and it doesn't actually anchor itself, I'm in a world of shit. I know that I'll get back on the boat if I have the fins. I don't care how much current it is, I'll get back to the boat.
Yeah.
Now, my worry is, in my mind, I'm thinking, dude, I'm gonna have to drag this guy on the side of the boat back to where we got to get into, and he's probably going to be lifeless, and his kid's on my boat.
Oh my goodness.
This is bad.
Yeah, that's a bad situation.
That's a tough spot. I kick. I get to this guy, and he's about to go down.
Oh no.
Right before he goes down, I grab him, and I had the life vest with me, and I say, relax. Just relax. Don't do anything else. Just relax. Do you know how to float on your back? He's like, I don't know, bro. You saved my life.
Oh, now he's like, we ain't back at the boat yet, buddy.
Listen. We're
50% here, man.
We're far from this, right? Mind you, there's the backstory of this guy. The whole time he's like, I'm the alpha of the family. You know, he's one of those, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I'm saving his life, right?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, I get to him. I tell him, hey, just chill. Let's drift a little bit. We're gonna go further away from the boat. From that point, I see my daughter. She's actually swimming towards the boat, and she made it to the boat.
Oh, beautiful.
So,
yep.
Beautiful. Awesome.
Yep. One down.
Yeah. And then she ended up getting to the boat, and then I get with this guy, and I said, all right, let's swim together. I had both fins on, and at that time, I wasn't remembering or thinking about
splitting.
The split.
Yeah.
Right? I said, let's go. So I thought, your adrenaline, fight or flight. I put my head down. I'm going to take this guy because I'm Superman. And this guy's like 350.
He's dead weight.
And I'm like, I'm kicking and kicking. And I'm going nowhere. Up this. I think I can. And I'm like, dude, I got 5 feet right now. This is not going to happen.
Oh.
And you'd be surprised how much somebody could push themselves with those fins.
Mm-hmm.
So then I said, hey, put this fin on. Put the other fin on. I had mine. He had his. We started kicking, and we started getting closer to the boat. Mind you, the current was still taking the boat away from us, but it already stopped, And then we got to the point there was like maybe 15, 20 feet from the boat.
Throw a line out. We can grab it.
If I were with my friends, they'd know what to do.
Yep.
Throw a line out.
Tie all the dock lines together. Get as long much rope out there as you can.
And for those watching, right, guys, one of the best things you can do if somebody's in the water, right, get a bunch of lines together and put at the very end of the line some life vests or something.
A fender, whatever.
Yeah.
A bumper, what you got?
Something that's going to float. And make sure that and sometimes people don't even realize that certain lines, right, they just have a regular rope. They're like, oh, this rope is going to float. If you throw a rope that's not meant to float, it's going to sink down to the water. And it's going to come right back to you. So it's meaningless in a survival scenario like that. You want it to float.
Yep.
So, and if you can't make it float, you need to tie something onto the end of it so that it can float.
Keep the line up.
Keep the line up.
You can get to it and grab it. And
because I mean, there's literally people that make that mistake. They throw their line and all of a sudden it sinks to the bottom. They're like, that's what an anchor line does. So the last 15 feet, I ended up putting my head down. I got him to the boat. It was Father's Day. It's an important day for me and my family. Everybody is chaos and panic.
Oh, yeah. At this point in time, yeah.
I want to go home.
The day's over.
Yeah. But you know what? I didn't want that memory to be remembered in the kids, right?
Yeah.
And I became Dictator Alfred at that moment. You can use that as a clip. I became Dictator Alfred. And I was like, hey, bro, we're not going to just go home.
Yeah.
This is my day too.
We're going to enjoy the rest of this day.
We're going to enjoy this day. I didn't want the day to end
on a
bad note.
Yeah.
Right? So I said, hey, listen, here's what we're going to do. We got the boat started. Everything was fine. It was one of these things that had to happen. And then we ended up going to the house after we did all that stuff. And then that's when I told everybody, let's just go. If it means a lot to me, we all have to hang out here. And then we did what we did. And then everybody left with a different sentiment as far as how chaotic that moment was.
Right.
When they thought the worst was going to happen. Because I know to this day, they remember that moment, but they don't remember it as it really was because of how it ended.
Yeah.
And I saw that in my mind at the moment, right?
So if you like this clip and you want to watch more, you can see another one over here or watch the full episode over here.